Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Not Fade This podcast. My name is Joshua Reimer. I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Jared Block. Jared, how are you doing on this fine Monday afternoon, sir?
We're doing well. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Getting my ass kicked by NBA. We had a decent day on Saturday where things went right, and then just feels like everything else has been a little bit off. Like X player doesn't close with the team, even though he closed Ahmed Thompson. So I'm just referencing. Luca gets hurt by blowout back-to-back days, though he had been on pace in both of those games to hit. It's just one of those stretches where just not clicking right now. You had some time off. You got to enjoy your team a little bit without the providing content. How you looking at NBA heading into this week?
Yeah, I feel good, man. I didn't have a great day yesterday. Jamal Murray ended up falling short, even though I thought the spot was excellent. Cat fell short because of a blowout, but overall, I still feel like I'm seeing things relatively well overall, just based on what I was doing last week before I took the break and all that. So I'm excited coming into this week. I'm excited to talk about NBA. It does feel like a little bit of downer to talk about NBA after the two podcasts we just recorded, which we'll keep secret for now, but we got some fun stuff coming out. But yeah, 4 game slate, nice and easy today. Definitely low workload. We have a huge slate tomorrow, but excited to talk with you about what's in store for today's 4 gamer. Jared, let's kick it off like we always do. Talk about injuries. What do we got? Not too. I mean, there's definitely stuff to talk about, but not too much new stuff.
No, it's not necessarily an injury dump, but there are some important things to talk about. We know that coming into the day, it was expected that Giannis would keep sitting. That has changed. He looks like he's going to be able to play today, though with that said, he'll likely be on a minutes restriction for the majority of the regular season to close things out, depending on where things go with the Bucks. So he's back and active for the first time in 5 weeks. And on that same game, we know that Jaylen Brown and Neemias Queta are out. Brown with an illness, Queta with a rest tag. So we'll see how that shapes out for Boston. Still think that overall, like I still really like the Boston spot, so we'll get there when we get there. From there, we have a lot of injuries for the Denver Nuggets. We know that Aaron Gordon and Cam Johnson are going to miss this game, as well as Peyton Watson. And I believe we still have, yeah, Spencer Jones is going to miss too. So like that team's pretty thin, all things considered, in a great spot against Utah. Furthermore, Utah is going to rest essentially everybody but Keontae George at this point in terms of their starting lineup. We know that Larry Markkanen's out. We know that obviously Triple J and Nurk are still out too. From there, it looks like Kawhi is going to play. It does not look like John Collins is going to play. He got ruled out. And then in the final game, we know that Golden State's basically going to sit Kristaps, Steph, Jimmy, etc. So lots of stuff, and Will Ricard too. So yeah, lots of stuff. I think the main highlights though is that Giannis is playing, and we know that Jaylen Brown is not playing. So from there, we can continue because I think we'll touch on Denver when we get there.
Yes, sir. We definitely will. All right, let's get to it, Jared. Let's get to some top implied team totals. And I completely forgot to pull this up. Here we go, though. Like you said, the first team to kick it off is going to be this Denver Nuggets squad as they face off against the Utah Jazz. They have a 127.25 implied team total. They're 12-point favorites. Over-unders at 242.5 in this game. We saw them end up losing yesterday to the Timberwolves. They have a traveling back-to-back, toughest back-to-back in all of basketball, going into Utah now with that high elevation and all that, though I guess they're a little bit used to it, right? They play in Denver at the end of the day. Give me your thoughts. What do you think about Denver here overall?
Yeah, they deservedly so have the highest implied team total. It's almost at 130, which is insane. They have a pace up spot. Utah's running at the fastest pace in the league now. And the Jazz obviously have a bottom 10 defensive rating, which we expected to drop and should continue to drop now that Jackson's just not playing. We know that, and I guess I'll toss it back and forth to you on how you've approached this recently. Utah's not really giving up a lot of above the break stuff. Like, it's a relatively middling angle from there, which the entire season it's been. This is the team to attack from 3-point range. We've done that religiously. Or if you filter the last 30 days, the zone where they allow the most points is the restricted area. Now, I think a lot of this zone conversation stems from, is 30 days sample too long of a sample size to look at this with? And we know that Jaren Jackson Jr. played in some of those games, and that certainly affects some of that. Give me your thoughts on how you view zone scoring. Like, you can talk about a lot of really good things, like Joker's hit 30-plus points in a majority of these games from the All-Star break. Jamal Murray's definitely been on one and obviously fell a little bit short yesterday, but still really solid. We know that Brown and THJ have taken advantage of these injuries. I don't know. How do you view which way to best attack Utah at this point?
Yeah, I kind of just think it's a usage point at this point of time. Like, I don't think they have any elite defenders anymore, so I don't really care about zone usage all that much because I think whoever's attacking the most is just going to score a lot. Sometimes it doesn't have to be that difficult. Sometimes it is kind of just like best players on the court end up doing really well, and I hate to dumb it down because it makes us kind of look like a simpleton's job almost. But in this case, at the very least, it is kind of just like this defense is that bad to where anyone can get theirs. So I like Jokic here. I like Jamal Murray. I think those are the main two guys that you can ride with. They're above the break three stuff. I don't know. Like, I understand what you're saying over the last 30 days. Over the last 5 days, they've allowed the sixth most above the break threes. So, I don't know. It's 50-50 whether what sample size you want to look at. You can look at any sample size and make, like, your case, right? But I think at the end of the day, like I said, it's a usage thing. Whoever's getting a lot of usage tends to do well against this Utah Jazz team. First, I would go to Jokic. Jokic had a great game yesterday, even with the loss. But I think this Jamal Murray spot does definitely open your eyes a little bit to a really good spot. Just some of these DVP numbers for Utah are really, really bad. So Jamal Murray can't have a lot of success here. I also don't mind going just to the Jokic spot if you want to make it really easy. Your main thing you're trying to beat is the blowout, right? Like, I think overall, if you look at like pace of everything, these guys will end up doing well, barring like a really bad shooting night. You're just hoping that blowout doesn't get too out of hand where these guys end up sitting.
Yeah, we're not a huge sides totals podcast for NBA purposes. But with that said, I have some things that are interesting here. Now, to your blowout point, it's kind of just a 50-50 situation for Utah as a home underdog. They're 13-14 ATS. In terms of what Denver brings to the table as an away favorite, they are not necessarily the best. They are a positive, net positive. They're 12-10 as an away favorite in terms of ATS. I would still put that in you can score on Denver, and we saw that yesterday with the Minnesota stuff. We'll get into it, I'm sure, because Utah in this game in general just has the highest overall over/under. So we'll touch on that in a moment. But I want to mention, and I saw it earlier, so I had to just double check myself. As the road team, Denver leads the league in terms of over percentage at 70%. They're 23-10 as an over team on the road. And guess who the top over team is at home, Josh?
The Utah Jazz, I'm assuming.
The Utah Jazz, 21-10 to the over, 67%. So you're getting, I'm just trying to say there's a reason that this is at 245.5 or whatever it is going to end up being. So could have like 250 plus points scored in this game.
Yeah, certainly could. I will just say Jokic on 0 days rest this season has had 29 plus points in 6 out of his 7 second half of back-to-back games. So he has been pretty dominant in that regard. When he's facing off against the bottom 10 DVP team, when it comes to points, he has gone over 29 points in 58% of 19 games. He's averaging 30 points in that stretch. I like the spot for Jokic. I like the spot for Jamal. I feel like you can make this really simple. This is not one you have to overcomplicate. You can overcomplicate a lot of things in the NBA. This is not one of them. All right, if you're ready, I'm ready. We can move on to this next team.
Let's move on.
Let's talk about the Houston Rockets as they face off against the Washington Wizards today. They have a 120 implied team total, with them being 14.5 point favorites. Over-unders at 225.5 here. You do have KD returning to DC. Hometown
Yeah,
narrative here
that's fun.
feels like something that I always bring up when I talk about Kevin Durant playing here. But give me your overall thoughts on what you think about the Houston Rockets here.
Yeah, so at least with this one, if you're comparing Denver to Houston, I will say that there's at least, and you can hear it in my voice, there's some hesitancy in terms of I don't feel as good about this game staying close. I think Washington has kind of packed it in. And that's what's strange about all that is they just announced that Trae Young's going to play on Thursday for what it's worth,
I know, right?
which is
What a
so
weird,
Washington.
weird
Uh,
time.
anyway, I don't have much optimism this game stays close. So I think what you are worried about is like, can these guys get there in 3 quarters? Maybe this is a first half player prop situation. But you can make the case that everybody's in a really good spot here, right? Like I know that no Jabari Smith kind of opens the door for Tari Eason. They felt comfortable starting Reed Shepard alongside Ahmed Thompson now, and how that has evolved. Reed Shepard's in an amazing 3 point spot. It's one of the best on the card. And he has shown consistency. He's hit 4+3s in 4 straight games. Şengün's fallen under 20 points in 8 of the past 10, but his spot on paper is tremendous when it comes to DVP. Again, I think that you got to be really careful on how you select things. And I didn't even talk about KD yet, who you mentioned. He's in an electric DVP spot. He can take advantage from three as well. Uh, Lots of really, really good stuff for Houston. I just worry that this game is like 70-40 by the first half. So
Yeah.
the thing that is different between the two situations in Denver and Houston is that Denver's defense is a liability right now and Houston's is not.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I completely agree with you. We're obviously just like, again, kind of similar to the Denver side, is like you're playing to hope that the blowout doesn't happen. But this one feels a lot more likely overall. So, like you said, this Houston team is playing really good defense right now, and that definitely, I could see Washington scoring like close to 90 points tonight. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that's out of the realm of possibility that they end up staying under 100 and even do worse than that. Like, there's not. I've talked about this Washington team a lot, and I just don't feel inspired whatsoever when they are missing all the guys they're missing. Like, no, having no star in this lineup, having no any like elite level player is really hard to get behind anyone on this offense. So, yeah, there's a lot of upside to this Houston side. Like you said, Reed Shepard can do some really good things. We've seen him be really consistent, especially against these bad above the break teams. I really like the Kevin Durant stuff too. Kevin
Yep.
Durant has exposed bad defenses this year. When he
Yep.
faces off against a bottom 10 DVP team, Jared, he has had 24 plus points in 15 out of 20 games. Utterly absurd. He averages 27 points a game when he faces off against a bottom 10 DVP team. So, massive, massive spot for Kevin Durant that I can certainly get behind. Again, you are really just really working against the blowout here, hopefully, and just hoping that it can stay close enough where these guys, even if they play half of the fourth quarter minutes that they usually do, I think
Yeah.
they end up getting there. It's just hoping that they even touch the floor in the fourth quarter, though.
Couple of closing notes on this team. Washington's on their fourth string center, and Anthony Gill, who is technically more of a power forward. Vukcevic got ruled out, and obviously AD and Sarr are not playing. So, and Gill's questionable for what it's worth.
Oh
So,
God.
like, Şengün is going to go bananas most likely, and everybody's going to do well. And like to your point, I really just this team could put up 140 points. It's just like how much second half run are you going to see the other guys get? So, um, regardless if Gill is in or not, Şengün is one of the better overall fantasy plays of the day, and you're going to see a lot of Houston on the big board. It's just you might have to, and if you don't, there might be a reason for that. It probably is because Denver just turns out to be more of a priority in a couple of spots. So, yeah, those are my closing notes on this, and good luck targeting anything Washington wise. I just
Yeah.
there's no point of doing anything with that, especially when all those guys are getting mid 20s in minutes, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move on to our third highest implied team total team. Do you want to talk about Utah here? Or do you want to talk about Boston? Up to you.
Oh, I had one point to make for Utah. Like I was gonna just make the case that like Denver's defense has a lot of holes. They're giving up a lot of threes. They're giving up a lot of mid-range and paint stuff. I do think that's another one of these reasons why I think Utah can make this a competitive game and at least cover the spread. But I do want to talk about Boston.
Yeah, let's talk about Boston. I think there's more to talk about here. We can always get back to Utah with round table and all that. Let's talk about Boston. They have a 109.25 implied team total. They're 2.5 point favorites. Over/unders at 215.5 here against them against Milwaukee. Give me your thoughts. What do you want to talk about here for this Boston team?
Yeah, so I want to just pull up what Underdog had posted earlier today about the line movement of this game, because at the beginning of the day, the Celtics had a 74% chance to win, and that was on the assumption that Boston was healthy and Giannis wasn't playing. Then Giannis got announced that he was going to play, and that line shifted to 66% chance to win. By the way, Celtics opened up as 8-point favorites. And then we got the news after Giannis was going to play that they opted to just, I don't know, they probably just wanted to give Jaylen Brown a rest, honestly, with his illness. And then Neemias Queta got the rest tag after his career high game. So we're going to see Vucevic started center today for what I believe is the first time with Boston. And obviously no Jaylen Brown kind of opens things up. The reason that I get excited about this, number one, is that this is a 2-point spread now. Boston is favored slightly on the road. And number two, this is a pace-up spot for Boston as well against a Bucks defense that, yes, will get better with Giannis on the floor, but 20 minutes of Giannis most likely doesn't save what I believe will be just an absolute meteor shower from three-point range for this team. This is the prototypical best three-point matchup on the slate. Milwaukee's allowed the most above-the-break threes over the past 30 days now. And on top of that, we also know that Boston, probably second to Charlotte, is the most concentrated above the break offense in the NBA. You have Peyton Pritchard and Derek White both sit in the top 15 here. Jaylen Brown wasn't really a factor. He'll hit a couple of above the break threes a game in stretches, but he's more of that driving slash guard, right? So and then you also have Sam Hauser, who's a top 50 above the break guy too. So you take Simons out of the mix and you get a really concentrated amount of 3-point attempts, and now you even get that even more with the distribution of Jaylen Brown off the floor. So I would like you to, I'll go into a couple of more things here, but I would like you to give me the on-off stuff per 36 with no Brown and no Queta, because I don't know how much data we actually have of that. But again, push comes to shove, I think Pritchard's going to profile well from three and just being the point guard with the elite peripherals in this type of matchup. But I think my guy here for the top 3-point spot of the day is going to be Derek White. He's hit 4+ in a majority of his last games over the past 10 days. And I think this is a spot where both Pritchard and White should get into the close to high 20s in usage. And one of them might even hit 30%. Do you have that data on hand?
Yeah, I do. Have to take Anthony Simons off the floor as well. Obviously, he's
Yep.
not playing for this team anymore. But the top scorer becomes Vooch, actually, with 66 minutes of playtime. He's averaging 28.7 minutes per 36 with no Brown. Again, extremely limited sample size. Next up is Peyton Pritchard at 23.1 points. But White is making the most threes. He has 4.3 threes per 36 minutes with 12.8 threes attempted per 36 minutes. That's pretty insane, having 12.8 threes attempted. The scoring spot looks good for Pritchard and for White. I like the upside for Vooch. I would love to see what his matchups against Turner have looked like in the past. Just out of curiosity.
He has destroyed the Bucks, but I say destroyed carefully. Hitting his current market of what it is right now, yes. It's been a kind of up and down, and some of these are from Brook Lopez days. So 16 points in both of the games against Chicago this year, which is a positive. Against Milwaukee this year. Both of those games were against Chicago, obviously. And yeah, no Queta off the floor is interesting. He doesn't miss games very often. Interesting stuff for Vooch. I think I just fall in love with the 3-point spot mainly, right? And from there, we've talked about this on the show before, where Jaylen Brown has been the sole guy that misses, and believe we uncovered there. You did at some point. Maybe you can refresh my memory on that, but I believe we dove into this, and it was very clear that Derek White was the top 3-point candidate, though Simons was in the mix at that point. But it was Peyton Pritchard who was dominating from, like, he was the guy that took over the drives per game, right? That was what we kind of defined. That would tell me that I think that it would be more of like a home run play for Pritchard assist markets.
Yeah, definitely a really good spot for Pritchard assist markets. Definitely a good spot for Pritchard overall. I think White is definitely your high threes type of guy, like your ladder type candidate. But Pritchard's right there with him. I think both of these guys are just poised to do very well. There's no one else that takes up usage. Sam Hauser does not get a big bump, though. Again, Hauser has an under 100-minute sample size, so like hard to judge overall. And Jaylen Brown's played a lot this year, so overall this is like a hard. There's not a lot of minutes that we have to work on. But White and Pritchard are the main benefactors, and they do get a lot of run, and we should be expecting both of them to take a good chunk of the usage today.
Last thing I'll note for Boston, 75% of point guards have hit their assist markets against the Bucks over the month of February, which is a pretty drastic number.
I'd love to see if they expect to start White and Pritchard together. I'm
that's
really
been
curious.
confusing, right? But I feel like they don't have a choice today.
Yeah, well, the projected lineup I'm looking at says that they don't. So, but I don't know what it's basing that off of. I don't know if there's anything to base that off of since Anthony Simons has been out of town. So who knows? All right. Anything else you want to? Do you want to? No, I'm not even going to give you the option. There's only 4 games. We're not going to cover another team. Let's head over to hottest shooters, Jared. Talk about some of the guys who've been performing at their best recently. I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll just recycle a couple of takes from these things because like that's kind of what we have to do on the show today. Reed Shepherd, 4+ threes in 4 straight games. We talked about Derek White, 4+ threes in 4 straight. I understand that number is going to be like a 4 base number. I don't care. It's a great spot, and he's been shooting lights out. From there, I think you kind of have to throw a lot of Milwaukee out the window with Giannis coming back, even if it is 20 to 25 minutes. We talked about Joker, 30+ points in 4 of the past 5. Keep it going from there. There's probably not too many left, but there's a couple.
No, there's not too many left, but Gui Santos has had 13+ points in 9 out of the last 10. Isaiah Collier has had 13+ points in 8 out of the last 10. And we've also seen Moses Moody have 3+ 3-pointers in 8 of the last 10 too. So I don't feel super confident about any of those, especially the Gui Santos spot. Like I've been the biggest Gui Santos advocate out there, but this matchup against the Clippers could not get any worse. The Isaiah Collier spot's not one that I'm incredibly excited about, with Deontay George getting more in the mix. And the 3-pointers, I mean, the Moses Moody spot's probably the best one out of the bunch, but still don't feel great about it. So a whole bunch of meh for the rest of that at the end of the day. All right, anything else here? If not, we'll head over to Round Table.
Let's head over to Round Table.
For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I bring some of our top plays to the table to talk about. Those plays are in different statistical categories, and those categories are points, rebounds, and assists. Jared, we'll start out with points. Where do you want to go?
Let's go. I kind of want to talk about Chris Dunn for a moment. We have seen him take tremendous steps in place of James Harden since that trade went down. Obviously, Zubac left too. No John Collins today, which tells me that the second guy in usage should be Chris Dunn. While it's been more of a peripheral angle, he's been very well from a rebounding plus assists category recently. I do think that there's pathways to him scoring points today. We know that the Warriors have a point guard issue. They've allowed the 4th most points to point guards on the season. They've allowed the 3rd most points to point guards over their last 7 games. I know that this isn't necessarily like a green light, like superstar type of situation. We definitely have those on this card today. But if you're looking for a niche like alternative situation, I think that the Chris Dunn points market's pretty good.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Man, it's 4 games. I'm just gonna reuse takes at this point.
Just
There's
reuse
not
it.
really
This is
not
our
really
third
too
show
much
of
else
the
to
day
talk.
for those wondering. So.
Yeah, we have been on the air for, well, not on the air, but we've been recording for 2 hours on top of what we're recording on this podcast. So it has been a long day. I'm going KD here, man. I already talked about the stuff against bottom 10 DVP teams. He's done very well. He has done well in blowouts as well. When they win by 15 plus, he still has had 24 plus points in 60% of his games so far this year. That's a really solid key factor that you want to have when he's facing off against a team like the Wizards. The DVP can't get much better. I kind of think especially right now, you can kind of throw him at any one of these positions and be right. Like he can be a 3, he can be a 4, he can be a 2 at this point. He's just kind of playing everywhere and doing really well everywhere. And he can feast on this Washington team. Plus the hometown narrative, I feel like adds a lot to this. So, yeah, I really like the KD spot.
We'll go to rebounds and give you the most obvious play imaginable, and that is Nikola Jokic, who has hit 13 rebounds in 8 of his last 10 and 12 in 9 of his last 10, including some ceilings of 20 and 17 since the All-Star break. The Utah Jazz have allowed the 5th most rebounds to opposing centers over their last 7 games, and that only continues to get worse with Kyle Filipowski starting at center. I know that not a lot of true centers have done extremely well in this regard, and I would think that a lot of this is due to blowout or recent circumstances, but we have seen Klingon have extreme success in this spot. Şengün got there, Derek Queen and DeAndre Jordan both got there in the first matchup, and then things fell off in the second one. So I don't think I really care. I think that this is the best rebounding spot on the board, and you don't overthink it.
Yeah, I can certainly get behind that. I am going to go with Kawhi Leonard here. This is a Warriors team that has been struggling with rebounding, allowing rebounds to the power forward position. When John Collins has not been here and Zubac has not been here, there's only one game so far this year, but it's a game that they played against Orlando, and he had 8 rebounds with 13 rebound chances. I like the spot. You add the opportunity with the DVP, and I think it all makes sense for Kawhi. So Kawhi rebounds is where I'm leaning here.
I'll go at least slightly outside the box with this take. I do think this is a somewhat interesting assist spot for Keontae George, who is, the minute workload has been interesting. Obviously, he missed a couple of weeks, but then played 23 minutes in the last game against New Orleans. So with that said, I do think that this is totally hedging on Utah, keeping this game competitive. He's going to eat into the Collier minutes, and we've seen that drop off from Collier in terms of assist stuff. He's more of a scoring guard recently, but if you look at what Denver has done, they have allowed the 7th most assists to point guards over the last 7 games. Is it the best assist play on the board? No. I do think there are better ones, but it's certainly like a top 3 or 4 if you don't want to play superstars in this one.
Yeah, I'm going with the same team and different guy, though. Isaiah Collier is the guy that I'm going with. I know you said that he's dipping and that you're 100% right, but we've seen this already. We saw him play 24 minutes against this Denver team earlier this year, and we saw him coming off the bench behind Keontae George. He still had 16 potential assists in that game, and he had
That's
9
fair.
of them. I think it's just enough. It's just like this Denver team's allowing a lot of points right now, and I'm hoping that Collier can take advantage of that off the bench. Especially, we're talking about a team that back in December, a lot more of these guys were playing. Now he has more of a role in this offense overall, and hope that he can just get to that assist market. So Isaiah Collier over 8.5 assists is what I'm leaning with. All right. Any other things you want to bring up with Roundtable? If not, we'll head over to Two Minds Are Better Than One.
Yeah, I mean, you could have also said that Joker is an elite assist play, which I think he is. He probably is the number 1 assist play on the board.
True.
I want to filter via our friends of Props.cash what opposing centers have done in the RA market, because I know it's going to be tremendously sky high for Joker. The line is 23.5, probably pushing 24 at some point today. Over the last 5 games, nothing crazy. The stuff's weird with the Pelicans, though. They're playing Jordan. Missy missed a game. Queen doesn't play. Şengün had 18 RA in this spot a couple of days ago. Back near, this was pre-All-Star break. Donovan Clingan had 25 RA in this spot. So yeah, like true centers with passing ability and rebounding ability, like yeah, they've smashed in this spot.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's head over to Two Minds Are Better Than One. For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I go back and forth, each of us selecting 2 player props each. We put those player props into a parlay with our goal of the parlay to have plus 100 to plus 150 odds. Jared, I'll let you kick it off. Where do you want to go?
Going with Derek White threes. If you don't want to play I think this is a true ladder type of situation, like a one where he could make like 7 threes in this game, but for the sake of this play, I think that 3 is totally fine.
Yes, let's go with Derek White for 3. Let's go 2+3s because 3+ is minus 157. I will go with KD for 30 plus PRA. I've already mentioned all the stuff I like about it. I'm not going to keep going in depth. I do think it is a PRA though. PRA play though.
Yeah.
He can get rebounds in this spot. He can certainly get assists. And yeah, I like the spot overall for him. So it is a PRA, not just a point spot for KD. All right, what do you got next?
And you look at what the Reed Shepard threes market is. I'd be okay with hitting 2 here as well.
Yeah, let's do that. Reed Shepard for 2+3s is perfect. And then I will go over to this Denver game, and we'll take Jokic here. We'll take him at a super limited market to hopefully get full. Yeah, there we go. 45 plus PRA, super limited market. And then saying 45 plus PRA is pretty insane, but we talked about it. Really like the Jokic spot overall, and think there is a lot of upside there. So altogether, we have KD for 30 plus PRA, Reed Shepard for 2+3s, Derek White for 2+3s, and Nikola Jokic for 45 plus PRA. Excuse me. Altogether gets you to plus 139. Jared, let's get out of here. What are your final thoughts?
This is a mediocre slate at best, and I think
that's being very kind to this slate.
I think that look, at the end of the day, there is definitely blowout risk for Denver and Houston, and I think that we've expressed our concerns more on Houston, whereas I think Utah can keep things competitive. And I do think that the spot for the Celtics at least gets a little bit more intriguing now that Jaylen Brown's out. We can focus on 2 guards that are in tremendously good spots. The night game is a complete disaster. I would fade that entirely. There's no reason to even play it. If you find a reason, tell me, and I'll consider it, but I don't think I will. Yeah, we're tired. Let's just get out of here.
We are tired. What play did you even... I didn't hear the first part of it. I was looking at a notification on my phone. What play did you say that you'll hear people's thoughts on?
Oh, I would love to hear somebody's argument on why you should be playing the Clippers Golden State game.
Oh, yeah.
There's no real reason to target that game at the end of the day. If you want to put an SGP together because you're going to the game, be my guest, but I wouldn't be touching it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Lots of unknowns there with Darius Garland. Look, here's what I'll say is that, if one of Houston and Washington or Denver and Utah stays close, then you're probably right. This is a mediocre slate. It gets really fun if one of those games stays close. If both of those games stay close, then you have a really good slate on your hands because we like a lot of plays from both sides. Most likely what happens is neither one of these games stay close, and it turns out to be a terrible slate. So keep that in mind. We got a lot more in store for tomorrow. Throughout the rest of the week, there's normal size slates, so you don't got to go blowing the bankroll today. Stay patient. I still think there are good plays. I think the KD plays good regardless. I think Jokic is pretty good regardless, and there's definitely other plays that we've talked about that we really like. So definitely a 3-game slate, more so than a 4-game slate, like you mentioned. And definitely we'll have fun attacking it. All right. Anything else, Jared? If not, let's get out of here, man.
Let's get out of here.
All right. Thank y'all for listening. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer, and we will see y'all tomorrow.